I first want to thank the people of the plant people to give me this platform to tell you about my journey and why I do what I do. It sounds really simple. I may just divert from the topic. Because this is a talk about spirit, I just want to give the spirits the opportunity to enter. So close your eyes. As I sit here and I look back at my life, there is no way that this part called me. Ever since I can remember, I have chosen this path. And it's very difficult to tell you from the beginning, but if I deduct go back into my life from now to events from a year ago, and a year before that, and before that, everything has accumulated to the point where I am now, and I have no choice but to acknowledge that all these events in my life have pushed me to where I am now. It still sounds as if this path has called me, but in a way I've chosen it as a spirit, and I am merely a spirit in a body. So when I was really, really young, like 3-4 years old, my mother would come to me and ask if the ensemble that she had chosen to go to choir would suit her. And I would sort of say, nah, sort of better this with that, and trousers with that, and skirt and color, and sort of. And then she would go, and she would be quite happy with what I chose. It was always about balancing energies, colors, everything. I've always been separate from my brothers and from my sisters. I'm the middle of 5. I didn't belong to the 2 oldest, and I didn't belong to the 2 youngest. To a point, I've been what you sometimes call the black sheep of the family. I've done everything different. When I was about 12, I read a story about a lady who had a premonition about her son who died in the Falkland Wars. He was on a battleship, and the Argentinians torpedoed it. And the story was that she knew the moment he died. And that came into my awareness, and I got very, very sort of taken by things that you can't see. The meaning behind what people say, the meaning behind the words, the sound of a voice. I would always hear something else than what was said. A lot of people actually do that. They say things that they verbalize it differently than what they really mean, and eventually you figure out what they actually mean, and that is sometimes a disappointment. Well, it sounds as if you recognize the very fact, right? So in my early 20s, I did a Tai Chi workshop. I was taken by the energy that it brings up. I was 21. I never done Tai Chi in my life because it didn't appeal to me, but I was still taken. I sat there with the teacher. We would stand there sort of wrist to wrist, and I lost my concentration, and all of a sudden I was thrown back 2 meters from where I stood, and it just blew my mind. Then I did aura cleaning, aura cleansing, when I was about 25. And the first 2 years was about self-healing. It was about digging into your own shit and dealing with it, sort it out, getting balanced, before we even were allowed to work on others. And I worked on some very interesting people. I did that for about 2 years, 3 years, And that aura cleanser is sort of like you really tap into the energy, you feel what these other people carry around, and then you find colors and you move it away, and sort of, I see a lot of busyness. Yeah, I work for a transport company. So, okay, cool, well, that sort of explains that then. And it was very brown, you know, and it was all around there. This is one example I remember very clearly. And it was very interesting till I met a chick that I eventually married, but she was not in any of that, so I stopped it all. In the process, I am a professional photographer. I'm trained, educated as a professional photographer. So I concentrated on that. So I photographed corporates, products, fashion, you name it, food. I've pretty much photographed anything that you can think about. I've done that for 30 years. The red line in my life is people. I've always worked with people. I can suss you out in the space of a minute or less. And I know exactly how to deal with you. And that is how I sold myself as a photographer. And I've been highly successful. You can go to my Facebook page, you see pictures that I've taken all over the world. And I've made a shitload of money out of that. But at a certain point, I am so tired. What in business is called the client. Because they know everything better. And I have to photograph within the parameters of the client. And, you know, at a certain point it just ran away from me. But I've been very corporate. Actually on my Facebook I put a picture of how I used to look as I was corporate. When I was corporate, I was about 10 kilos heavier than I'm now. I still find it funny. And I like to laugh at myself at times. In 2008, I was introduced to ayahuasca. I came out of a relationship, and somebody mentioned sort of, maybe you should do this. And it was ayahuasca. I had no clue what ayahuasca was, but the funny thing is that this calling sort of was there in the calling, whatever, this whole energetic world was in the back of my mind. And I've ran away from it for pretty much my whole life. I've been addicted, I've been indulging in alcohol, all kinds of drugs. Got myself out of it, never really been officially in rehab, but I was in it, but I wasn't addicted as such. You know, it wasn't really, I never had to steal for my shit because I made enough money. But I had the experiences. I've been where most guys have never been. I've touched on worlds that were not all that kosher, but I had the, as I grew, I actually called it that I was gaining my medicine. I know the bad parts of certain worlds. I know what certain stuff can do to other people and what it's done to me. And I carry the residue of some of these habits with me. At the moment, I have this absolutely amazing partner who calls my shit when subconsciously I expose behavior that is not really all that nice. And then we work. And I will recite some of her poetry a bit later. Because she's a natural born shaman, although she doesn't think that herself, which is fine with me. So in 2008, I got introduced to ayahuasca, and talking is my business. Communicating is my business. I have never in my life before been that quiet the day after I drank ayahuasca for the first time. My whole life came to me, and I couldn't really relate to the people in the group, and that was fine, because sometimes in ayahuasca journeys you don't really communicate with the other people. And in my own ceremonies, when people yap too much, I actually tell them to sort of like, right, this is a ceremony. And you have to work within. And the moment you start yapping, and I do this and I do that, and so you project your shit onto others because you don't want to work within. So I keep them quiet. If you ever, and anybody who comes to my ceremonies, you will find the real me, because I don't take anybody's shit. I will tell you exactly what's going on, and I will tell you what the ceremony is about. And I protect my clients in my ceremony, my guests, as I like to call them. Because anybody disturbs the energy of other people in the ceremony, I will address you, I will take you on, and I will explain to you very nicely in my way, with my personality, what I expect from people who actually want to come to my sacred healing ceremonies. And my ceremonies are sacred. My ceremonies are about your spirit addressing your shit from within. I've run ahead a bit. So anyway, in 2008 I drank ayahuasca. I was very quiet. I drank it another time. And in 2009, 1.5 years later, I drank it again. And I didn't have the money for the ceremony. So, me being the merchandiser that I am, I made a deal with the ayahuasquero. I would buy the food, I would cook the food. I'm an excellent cook. I've done it my whole life. I love it, it's my hobby. I would pick him up from the airport, I would help him set up the space, I would take him to the ceremony space, I would clean up, as long as I could drink ayahuasca for free. Which was fine with him, because I'm a better cook than him. And that became, at a certain point, almost a standard. So then I assisted him. Well, I helped him out actually for several ceremonies. Still, at a certain point, we started the ceremony, and there was a guy that was too late, but we knew that he was on his way. And the ceremony had started because my friend didn't want to wait, which I actually, in my ceremonies, I wait till everybody is there. I have started at 9 o'clock in the evening, for the very fact that I don't want the energy in my ceremony. And my friend was singing, and his singing was really shit. It was really like feeble, and I was nervous. And so, and the ayahuasca started working on me. I was sitting on a mattress next to him, and I was sitting up, and I became this snake. It was an anaconda at the point, but I became this snake, and my tongue came out, and sort of like, and this guy was just sort of projecting his energy on the shaman, if you want to call him like that. And the guy was disturbed. His energy was definitely disturbed. So with my energy, I pulled the guy back, and I made him lay down. And then he would come up. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I pushed him down again. And I was, you know, one of these hippie types, you know, henna and dreads and 55 years old. And sorry, I mean, I don't do the hippie shit. So anyway, so I was playing with him, and I really found it very funny, because I could push him down almost at will. And it was so funny. So I said, okay, cool, you know, I'm going to look at you as a stray cat. You know, stray cats have certain freedoms, but they still have to fit in the rules of the house. So I was just playing with him, and he would get up, and I would push him down, and sort of. At a certain point, he was just knocked out, because the medicine really started working with him. And the shaman actually picked that up, and he said, no, you know, come sit next to me. So ever since, I've been assisting him. And I would just hold space. I would become a medicine man. I could sort of touch on your energy body, sort of figure out what kind of journey you had. And I would never go in, because that's your private. That I wouldn't have permission for that. But after the ceremony, I would always have something that I could sort of pick up on where you were. And there was like, I always had like 2-3 sentences for somebody, and I would tell you nicely, privately, because some of the stuff is really private. And there's one guy says, no, it's just, could tell me, right? I said, okay, cool, you're full of gas. Everything that you expose in the normal world is just one fucking air bubble. I said, I only have to do that, and there's nothing left. He says, you're right. So how do you do that? I said, well, it's just, you know, first you were farting like a madman next to me. You really was. But the thing is actually that you know, you take all these things together, and you come to some kind of thing. And then because you're open in the spirit world, you're open in the energy world, there is so much information that comes out, and that I seem to pick up. And some people would go deep and say, why don't you go broad? Why don't you explore where you are? I wasn't even singing Icaros. I was just sitting next to the guy, and I would hold the space, because the space in ceremonies is an entity. It is filled with fine-tuned energies. And these days I call them spirits. I actually never really realized that till I started doing it myself. But I hold the space. I hold the space around you. And I've done this with him for about 4 years, 5 years. His style was very Spanish songs, very mestizo kind of styles. And I sort of call them happy ceremonies. Now, if you ever would come to my ceremonies, they're really good, by the way, but I don't call them feel-good ceremonies. Oh yeah, feel-good. I call them feel-good ceremonies. You know, you may see the lights and the geometric patterns and the galaxies and sort of. People see them with me, but I hammer you. I call spirits. I went to the jungle in 2014 in April. I stayed there for 16 weeks and I did 55 ceremonies. I dieted plants there, master plants, spirits that are so powerful and so gentle and so full of love. The love that you have never ever experienced and you will never experience in your physical existence. They embedded themselves into me and I can call on them in my ceremonies, each and every one. I have personal spirits that came to me, that walked into me, that lay into me. I can call them in ayahuasca ceremonies. And I call them for you. I am a channel for plant spirits, for animal spirits from the jungle. And I don't do recorded music. There are people who do ceremonies with recorded music. And although it is really, really nice and very gentle and very dreamy and you just sail away and sort of, it's not my style. I sing Icarus. I sing Icarus for 2 hours flat. I bang you, I whack you, I hammer you. And you get to deal with your stuff. I promise you go to places where you don't dare going in the normal world. And I hold you. I hold your energy, I hold the space. There is nothing coming in from the outside, and whatever shit happens in the inside comes from someone in the ceremony. And it jumps on me. Subconsciously, some people are so angry that I bring these things up, that they project their anger onto me, it jumps onto me, and I'm so protected that moment I will vomit. I will vomit happily in my ceremonies. I don't have any problems with that. Because it's not allowed in me, and in the bucket it's dead. So, the thing is actually, you know, sort of, I'm actually quite down to earth. I don't go to galaxies in my ceremonies. I don't see the pretty pictures. I've had some visions in those years that I worked with this shaman. I've been in initiations rooms. I have been in situations where I couldn't hold the space and I called on the big spirit. And then the big bug would come. I said, okay. And then all of a sudden, that's one of the few visions I've ever had. I'm an earthling. I deal with the lower shit. I deal with the demons. But I've been sort of, and I've been made compliments that I can't even repeat because it would be absolutely totally embarrassing for me to say them. But it is what I choose to do. People have shit in them. People have traumas in them. I bring back those parts from you in the ceremonies that have run away from you. When you experience a trauma in most likely your early years, and most likely around before you're 10, and on that basis you live your life. You put your defense systems around you, you have your traumas, that healthy part of you has run away. We call it soul retrieval. It's what I learned in America with Alberto Villoldo at the Four Winds. We can call it back. And I don't really use that as such in my ceremonies, but of outside my ceremonies, but I use it inside my ceremonies. I can feel where you are. I don't know the details of the journeys where you are when you drink ayahuasca with me, but I will call you back. After these 2 hours of singing Icaros and calling the spirit, I will start chanting. I have a few beautiful English songs that will knock you out, because they will actually address really the essence of you. Then I'll come around with the singing bowl. And then somehow, my mental plays no part in my ceremonies. My own mental has nothing to do with it. I get sort of informed telepathically what's going on. Sometimes I sing to you, I talk to you. I've got things to say, and I always think that I whisper, but apparently the whole ceremony hears what I got to say. It's fine, I just have a big voice for that matter. But then I'll play the bowl over you. I will rip you apart. And I will do it so badly that you have no chance in resisting. When I sing that bowl over you, and it's a highly tuned bowl, I didn't know how good it was when I bought it, but it turns out that it is a highly tuned bowl. Somehow it must have called me. But I play it, and you will go with it, and then you will find pieces shooting away of you, and then I put you back together. And it is so beautifully, and it is so gentle. That somehow you've gone to places that you didn't know existed within your psyche. And because you walk in that spirit world, in that energy world, your energy body is so open and so big. And I hold you. You can release the stuff that don't serve you anymore. And that everybody gets a choice. Gets a chance. Everybody gets addressed. Everybody in my ceremony gets personal attention. And that's why my ceremonies aren't much bigger than 12, maximum 14, 15 people, because I can't deal with it physically because it's very taxing. On the Mondays after the ceremony, trust me, I'm finished. But at the same time, I love what I do. And then I take my medicine flute and you go journey. And that's where the healing really, where it takes place, where you come together, where you go, and then you address your stuff, your personal stuff, your relationships, your work, your potential, your possibilities. The theme in my ceremonies is the light in you. My page on Facebook is called The Light in You. My email is called The Light in You. My website is called The Light in You. Don't go there because it's very limited at the moment. I'm working on it with somebody, but I just don't have the time to sit at it. The Light in You was chosen because I once had to have a Twitter account. Everybody has a Twitter name somehow. It's either your name with a few names, and I didn't want to use my own name. Because Johan, 1612, that sounds really stupid to me. So I called it The Light in You. And I didn't want to call it The Light in Me. I thought I was pretty arrogant. But The Light in You. And that was chosen way before I actually did what I do now. And what I do now is actually what I love doing. And it almost takes no effort. I also journey for people who can't be in the ceremony, and almost with 100% score. I was in Iquitos, and I'd been doing courses with Alberto Villoldo in America, and I met a lady who was a half Cherokee, half white American lady, and we had a really good connection. After these courses, we separated. We never met again, but we stayed in touch over Facebook, over email. And while I was in Iquitos, she sent me a text message, and she said there was a shaman who had a dream that she had to contact a guy she knew who was in Peru, who knew shamans that could help her. Well, from her perspective, it was only me. So she had a tumor on her ovary with branches growing to her lungs. And she was pretty scared that it wasn't too good. So, okay, I'm in Peru. I got my teachers. I've met a few while I was staying in the city there. So I went to a tarot card reading shaman who actually originally is Dutch. I'm Dutch, by the way. I was born there. So she did a reading on this lady, which was absolutely 100% accurate, which was really cool for her when I related that to her. Then I went to my teachers to the jungle, and I had to travel like 80 kilometers, and I spoke to them, and he says, well, you can do it yourself. Sing your Icaros, drink ayahuasca, sing your Icaros, call your spirits, go journey. You can do it yourself. Why the hell do you think that you spent 6 weeks with us and then you think that you can't do that? So they gave me a bottle of ayahuasca, and trust me, if any of you has ever drank ayahuasca, the stuff that you drink here is a far cry. It's so much nicer than what you get in the jungle, because it's really bad shit. It's like regurgitated motor oil twice. It's bad. Anyway, and I was quite reluctant to drink that all by myself. But I had to, because I promised. So I drank it. I sang my Icarus, called Spirit, journeying to her. 3 days later, she sends me a message that she went to the hospital, and the branches that had grown from her tumor to her lungs had disappeared. And the doctors were actually quite confused. Why? Because nothing had happened. She hadn't had medications at all. Then I put protection around this lady. She was also in a divorce, and her ex-husband was quite cocky, and he would come to our house and aggressive and all that kind of things. The Saturday, I journeyed for her on a Tuesday. On the Saturday, he came to the house. And I had asked my spirits actually to put protection around her, and one of them told me, he says, well, he's out. He's not even getting close. I said, oh, but you know that in a divorce they need to communicate, at least via papers or something. Oh, okay, cool. Trust me, my spirits are as real as my left hand. I mean, you may think it's sort of like all made up. It's not. The spirits are as real as my left hand. And I'll tell you about it, how I experienced them in the jungle. But anyway, so this guy comes to the house, and she wrote to me that actually he walked in, he had 1,000-yard stare, said nothing, had an envelope in his hand, and she was just enjoying the very sight, because he was just like 360 degrees, nothing of what he was. I said, what are you coming to do? Oh, so now he had papers, and she looked at it, she signed it, he turned around and he walked off. He never said a word, which is absolutely the opposite of what he was normally to her as his personality. And a divorce really went well. The cancer actually turned out to be a very rare, bad kind of cancer. What is it? Malign, huh? Malign, yeah. Which, when they wanted to actually operate, had disappeared. Not a trace of it. And she still, actually I spoke with her about 2 weeks ago, and she is still cancer-free, and that is basically a year ago, which actually blew me away. I've done this to other people who live in the States for protection, for business, and sort of their circumstances changed. I cannot work on the people that don't give me personal permission, verbal permission. I cannot work, that would amount to witchcraft, and that's the deal I signed in the spirit world. I do not use my spirit world for other people. Unless you give me permission, I will journey for you. If I don't have verbal permission, I cannot and will not do that. But the people that I put protection around, and I ask my spirits to put protection around you, what they do, I don't take responsibility for. Because the attitude of the people outside these people's personal sphere will change. I don't have control over that, nor do I take responsibility. And I think they do it in all their own integrity. And that's what these spirits do. Now, if you want me to tell you about the spirit world while I was in the jungle, I went there with the Ayahuasca Foundation. And it is an organization run by an American called Carlos Tanner. And they take gringos to the camp, to the jungle, and the shaman who teaches us the art of ceremony, the Icaros that we sing, that I sing, and there are a few more that I learned than just the original ones. They expose us to plant medicines as the curanderos use for patients. And the funny thing is, a curandero has to test out his own medicine before he dishes it to others. So we were exposed to a lot of jungle medicine. Some would screw you over like mad. Some would take the pain out of your body. You couldn't walk for days. Some you were as high as a kite, which was, in my circumstance, rather pleasant at times. But on average, it's poison. And you get that poison in such doses that you can tolerate it. You vomit out the poisons, the toxins that you hold in your body, because these medicines, they work with whatever goes on in your body. And on average, it's purging. But after that, you feel like $1 million. And that was amazing. Now in ceremony, you drink ayahuasca that is so thick that it's like syrup. And it is so well brewed that on 1 cup of 70 ml, you can journey pretty much like 5-6 hours up to the next morning. I increased it to 2 doses because I wanted to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And in 55 ceremonies, I probably passed out 4 times. That I can't remember what I really did. And I wasn't really the most pleasant person in the camp, I promise. I was quite irritating to other people, but I was there for myself. But at a certain point, I would see like a red cloud coming to me. And afterwards, I said, what's that red? No, that was Pina Colorado. It's a plant, it's very sticky. It's a very beautiful plant, actually, red leaves and sort of. But yeah, you didn't communicate, so it went away. And then there was another kind of thing. So I got fed up at a certain point, and I said, you know, so I asked my teacher, actually, sort of, ask these spirits to come to me in a way that I can understand. So I don't seem to get it. So I lay down there, ayahuasca started kicking in, I purged, and after that it was always there. And I felt something tickling on my head, on the right side of my skull, and I thought it was like, you know, a bunch of cockroaches, because in the jungle had plenty of cockroaches. So, you know, and they didn't go away. And I said deeper, and it was deeper, and it was deeper. And at a certain point, I said, "Oh fuck, then, you know, this is not really, this is not material, you know, this is not animals." And I was crawling over my skin, and I went in, and my head turned warm, and I opened my eyes, but it was my spirit eyes, and I had sort of like all the trees standing around me. And that warmth got so hot, it got hot like coals, and I thought sort of like, whoa, my brain is getting fried here, and it was like, you know, I had brain surgery. And then I realized actually that there were roots growing into my brain. And then I was held in a light, in a love I have never, ever, and don't expect to experience in this life ever again, except in the spirit world. I was held in a love so intense that I was completely blown out of the water, blown out of my body, blown away, absolutely. And it was tight, it was soft, it was beautiful. And there was a little spirit coming up, and it looked at me. I said, whoa. I said, you're beautiful. I said, what's your name? And it says, Auguste. And then it disappeared, and then I came back sort of to myself, and that was my ceremony. I didn't need anything else. And that little flower, I found 3 months later. I found it in the Cape on a walk. I took a picture of it. I can show it to you later if you want to. It's like a little protea, and it is stunning. And it caught my eye when I was walking there on a hike in the Cape. And I says, no way, that's Auguste. You know, I have no clue what the real name is. I mean, I've never inquired. I'm pretty sure that if I post it, that someone will know what the name of that little flower is. It's one of these, it looks like in my mind, like a protea, but it's not totally. But it blew me away actually that I saw it in Cape Town, and I had the vision of it in Peru. And ever since, I would sort of drink ayahuasca. Half an hour later, I would purge, and I would go to class. And that was what I was for in the jungle. I would go to class. We were learning there to do ceremonies. Now, this Ayahuasca Foundation has an introduction of 6 weeks, and then they have a little bit of a longer introduction of 10 weeks. Because I'm Dutch, I have to be economic, and I work for my money. So I actually took both courses back to back. I stayed there for 5 months. And in the 10-week course, it was just like purge, bam, get taught. I can't really remember everything that I was taught, but I would sit in class in a way. I would sit in class in the spirit world, and I would be shown things, and there were spirits coming to me, plants coming to me, telling me this and telling me so and telling me that. I dieted plants there, which, according to the Shipibo, the tribe that my teacher belonged to, one is their master plant, and her name translates to flying medicine. It's a plant that when she sheds her leaves, they glow in the dark. When these leaves ferment and turn a little bit brown, they glow in the dark. And it was one of the highlights, actually, to walk in the dark, in the jungle, to go to the tree and to see these leaves glow up. And this blows your mind, because I've never seen anything like that before. So then we would collect the leaves of these trees and we would spread them in the ceremony space, and we had these beautiful little patches of like glowing leaves, and so that was just stunning. And then in the 10-week course, I was actually in the 6 weeks course, I was visited by a spirit whose tree I had photographed. And that spirit is a nasty little troll with a big fat ego, and he's not really that much bigger than that, if you want to visualize him. But he's the king of the jungle. He's responsible for kicking over the trees in the folklore of his story. But he came to me and he says, "Why do you photograph my tree?" So, "Well, I heard about you," and says, and I think you just got a stunning tree. It's a beautiful green tree, and it's nothing particularly special, and from a gringo point, you wouldn't even know what, the difference between one tree and the other tree, but the Shipibo, they know. So the spirit comes to me and he says, I think this is a beautiful tree. I heard about you, and I wanted to see your tree. I said, "By the way," he says, "I'm not even dieting you. What do you do here?" Sort of. So comes the tree that I was dieting, and he was gone. So a few days later, I sort of asked the brother of the shaman, with whom I became real close friends, to the point that we were like brothers. He says, "No worries." So he takes his machete and he walks into the jungle and he finds a dead tree of that particular spirit. And he says, "How long do you want it?" He says, "Well, that's chuck, and chuck. And so here's your piece of wood." So that the next ceremony, this spirit comes to me and he says, "And now you take my wood." I said, "Well, I play flutes. I want to make a flute of it. I want to send it to America. I want to give it to a flute maker, and I want to have a flute. And then I play the chewy-chucky flute." I said, "Well, look, I know you're full of shit, but at the same token, I like you, because what you sort of do and who you are in the spirit world, in the jungle." I said, "I'm pretty much the same. I don't do rules. I said, I don't listen." I said, "Okay, cool. Sort of, wait till I got your flute." And went away. But even while I was not dieting this particular tree, it would pop up from now and again. So when I was in the 10-week course, I didn't have to diet the first tree that the Shipibo would give people who started this course. So I had the choice of dieting whatever plant I wanted. So I dieted this particular tree. And the funny thing is that we used to have fights. You don't enter the jungle and you don't do things in the jungle without permission. The jungle is a very spiritual kind of place. I didn't know that. I would just do my thing. I would walk in the jungle, I would do this and I would do that, and then he would come and lecture me. So now, in the Peruvian tradition, folklore, he's the boogeyman. The Peruvian mummies, they say, "You don't listen, I call Chuichaki." So, by the same time, this particular spirit is a master doctor, and he loves aspiring shamans like me. On that one, let's put it this way, I don't call myself shaman. I think it's an honorary title that a lot of people give me. I'm a facilitator, and I dish out ayahuasca. I sing songs that I call spirits. A shaman is a much bigger kind of personality than I will ever be. I will try to sort of walk into that energy, but I will never know as much as that my teachers know. But people call me shaman, and I find that very funny. I actually don't correct them because I find it quite flattering, but you will not hear it from my mouth. But anyway, so this spirit, sort of, he teaches people like me. And at a certain point he says, you want to know the plants? You don't have time in your life. Bring me the people, I call the plants. Because he's king of the jungle. And that's how we operate. I call him. He's in my ceremony. And sometimes, actually at one point he lay into me. And sometimes he sings through me. And I sort of, whoa. And sometimes I can hear myself sing. And then I look at myself and I say, I better come back. Because, let me not just sort of... I think the guys that have drank ayahuasca here, when they had to get up and go to the toilet, they have experienced that their body is not really operating according to normal rules. Sort of like, oh dear, you're a bit out of it. And sort of like, so your energy is outside your physical. So I experienced that too. In my ceremonies, I drink more than you guys because I need to be there. I don't drink a little bit and that's, I can feel you, sort of. I'm involved. I walk with you. You don't know what spirit world looks like. I do. So when you drink ayahuasca, I walk with you. I hold you. If you go ballistic, I hold you. I sit with you just as long till you get back. And I will blow Aqua Florida over you, I will blow Mapache over you, I will sing Icaruses over you, and I will verbally even tell the demons that may come out of you, because some people do carry demons. I choose to work with them or not. Some people carry demons, either family demons or attracted from whatever things they touched. And people, demons like jumping into really pure people, innocent people, preferably younger people. These younger people, they can grow older and these demons will sit with them. These demons, they suck your energy. I can see them in that world that I walk in my ceremonies. I can see them on your face. They will morph. And if I work on you personally and I see your face morph, I know what I'm up to. There are times that I choose not to work with it. If it's too late in the ceremony, I will address you the next ceremony if you stay for that one, or the ceremony that you come again. But I can sing them away.
What about that transfer of energy to other people when those demons do come out?
No, these demons dump on me. They don't go to the neighbor. And there are so many spirits in that space that these demons have no chance. They don't jump on the next person. But at the same time, in ceremonies, don't touch other people. Because there may be that transfer. And that can happen. But even my assistants, when they walk you to the toilet, I tell them, don't touch. I touch you. I vomit them out. And I've had it. But every time something jumps on me, I vomit. And I know that sometimes it looks really embarrassing when the facilitator takes his bucket, but that's actually really what happens. And actually, if you don't really know what goes on, you can actually attach these demons from the people in your ceremony if you're not really well equipped and know what you're doing, and you're going to sit with them. They will suck your energy dry. That's what these demons do. I've had a guy that went to Burundi. He bought a mask, and it was an original old mask, which was used in ceremonies or that had a demon on it. That demon jumped on him. He went completely ballistic. He had drank so much ayahuasca, his second glass went out the moment he touched it. And when I came to him, he said, can I have some more because I'm stone cold sober. I gave him a third glass. And within 5 minutes, he went completely infantile. The physical properties of ayahuasca cannot do that. Because you will not have ingested that into your body. At the same time, sometimes people they vomit out their first glass of ayahuasca within 10 minutes and they still have a trip of note. The spirit of ayahuasca will get into you.
Sorry.
No worries, ask away.
What about, I've never done ayahuasca before. run journeys, regular journeys and beginners?
No.
Or is it
No.
just
An ayahuasca journey is never the same. And if you've done 20 ayahuasca journeys, your 21st will be different. There will always be different things that get addressed within you. And sometimes you may have worked through your traumas. There's always more. There are always insights that are current. You may have dealt with some stuff that from your past, from your family, from relationships, from whatever trauma or whatever you experienced as trauma. You may have dealt with maybe some residue of this and maybe some residue of that. But you may have something to do with your job that frustrates you and you have actually you're stuck a bit. So your current circumstances can put you in that situation where you actually don't really have a clue where you want to go. Ayahuasca will help you see that. And the spirit of ayahuasca, you can address her. In an ayahuasca ceremony, you are still in charge. You can override the spirit of ayahuasca. But if you have a question, you can ask ayahuasca this and that and so and so. The first thing that will come to mind is the answer. Everything else is justified, mentalized, intellectualized, and is not true. It's just a simple process that will suit you. But the first answer is the truth. That's the spirit talking. And it's for you to listen. A ceremony also is just the beginning. A ceremony is not the end all and sort of, it's not, that's where the solution is. The solution is not necessarily in a cup of ayahuasca. It may show you possibilities, it may show you your potential, but you will have to work with what it shows you. There are people who drink ayahuasca every 2 weeks. They're fucking nuts.
it's abuse?
It's an escape.
Just like everything else in this world.
Well, sometimes we take the money. Let's be fair.
You can't judge, right?
I'm not here to judge anybody. And the person that I know about it, I love her to bits. And she's stunning, she's amazing. And she comes quite regular and I love her to bits and I work with her every time and I don't see a big problem in it. But yeah, if you want to do that, then, that's your choice, still. But I wouldn't recommend it. If you do it twice a year, it's more than enough. If you do it for your personal revelation, for your personal development, you get so much information thrown at you in an ayahuasca ceremony, in a well-conducted ceremony. You don't always see the pretty pictures. Sometimes ayahuasca works on a physical level, because then that's where you're stuck. And they say, but I didn't see that. I didn't have the DMT experience. It's not about the DMT experience. I've had people like that in my ceremony who were angry with me. Please go buy yourself a gram of coke, snort it up in one go and die. If you want to have a drug experience, don't come to an ayahuasca ceremony, because I get seriously pissed off. If you want to abuse ayahuasca, for that matter, you're at the wrong medicine. If you want to do drugs, please do drugs. Don't come to my ceremonies, because you actually put the people in my ceremonies at risk. And I happily give you back your money and give you your marching orders. That is not what ayahuasca is for. Ayahuasca is for insight. Ayahuasca is to show you the light that you were born with. And it's the same mentality that I apply in my medicine as I just put on the table here. I'm sorry, I got a bit lost. But
We obviously needed to hear it.
maybe. Ayahuasca is a medicine. And ayahuasca opens your energy body. And you need somebody that can hold you. If you experience emotions in an ayahuasca ceremony, then you need to be so smart to work with those emotions. Don't project them onto other people. After ceremonies, I have people who can't stop talking. I ask them kindly, politely, to address themselves. Because the moment you start yapping, and even the day after, when you start yapping and you don't go inside. You just want to, like what you do in normal life. Oh, I am this. It's all regurgitated fucking knowledge. that has actually no space and no business in a sacred healing spirit ceremony. And you actually disturb the other people's journeys. My ceremonies start on a Friday afternoon and they stop on Sunday 4 o'clock. You do tobacco in the morning. That is a choice. There's been some discussion on plant people about tobacco, and a boy that died. Trust me, there was something else going on there. You don't die from drinking mapacho juice. You cleanse your stomach. You get a very, very energetic feeling from it. The spirit of mapacho, when you ingest it, will work with you. In the afternoon, we do a sweat lodge, and some of you have seen it on my Facebook. It collapsed, by the way. I will put it on Facebook tomorrow. It's hilarious. But it was research and development. I will build a mobile one, and it's going to be from aluminium and whatever stuff. But the one with the electrical tubing collapsed. It was just totally hilarious, but it still worked. You do a sweat lodge, and the detoxing in the sweat lodge will actually whack you. That's sitting there in that heat for an hour, with that medicine still, the residue of it still in your body, you're good for a 2-3 hour nap. And then I start at 5:30 with ayahuasca again, and I promise you, I only need half the dose to get you twice as far as that you were the night before. The protocol in my ceremonies are on average the same, unless something comes in that disturbs me, which happens at the time, because my theme is the light in you. I attract the darkness. And it's not by choice, but it just seems to happen that way. I'm not scared of the devil. I address anything. The buck stops with me. In my ceremonies, I'm the boss. I weave the web of energy, and nothing comes in and nothing goes out. Yes?
Can anybody ever be allergic to it or too oversensitive to it that they can't take?
Not allergic, but you can be sensitive. Some people have a disposition that is more sensitive to ayahuasca than others. I mean, you can take a Panadol and you can be high as a kite, and you can take 5 and your headache never goes away. That kind of disposition, yes. So on the Friday, I start everybody off on a little bit of a starter dose. After 45 minutes, I will call for a second class and ask how you feel. Some people are stone cold sober. Some people are big men on like so much journey the whole evening. You can be as tough as nails, and you won't go anywhere on 3 glasses, where someone else on a tablespoon will go from here to the other side. It is not the same. But the funny thing is, if you have a ceremony with 12 people, there is not one journey the same. Some people say, I felt nothing. I felt my body. I heard voices. But I felt nothing. Now, see, that is also like, it's really funny, because I just crack myself. You know, I heard this and I saw a so, but I felt nothing. All in one breath. So you either have a very wild imagination and you live that world all the time, or you didn't see it really. Right? But there are people who actually, they go to the toilet 5-6 times because they purge from the other end. But there are also people who purge like 4 or 5 times in a bucket. If it's out that way or out that way, it's out. And what's out, it's not in. You don't even have to know what you purge from whatever end. It doesn't matter. Some people sweat like mad. And some people go really, really emotional and they cry their hearts out. I love it when people cry. Because this shit can be addressed, that's been stored so deeply, so comes out, and it is so beautiful when that comes out. So yes, allergic, no, I've never seen anybody who's allergic, but I've seen plenty of people who are so sensitive that a tablespoon is enough for them to journey the whole evening. I would drink lemonade glasses this big. I would drink 120 milliliters of ayahuasca made in the jungle, and that's potent stuff. And I would go far. But I needed that kind of quantities. I mean, it was so thick that I actually would count the gulps. So, and it was 6, 5, oh, this time it was 7. And then I would hear it, and I would hear it. You know, so yeah. Am I supposed to stop now, Jane, or what?
Well,
Am I getting to the end of it? No, I'm not finished at all. But how long much do I have? Do I have 25 more minutes? Okay.
Five.
I have 5. All right, cool. All right, now there are people, I was going to recite it, but I'll finish with reciting a poem from my girlfriend who is in spirit always in my ceremonies. And I recite that poetry in my ceremonies because it is actually super, super powerful. I want to talk a little bit about ritual, because that's also a topic that is coming up these days, where ritual seems to be not really regarded as important. I want to say very little about, I want to say very little about ritual, but what I want to say about it is that I personally find ritual very important. I open sacred space. I call the serpent, I call the jaguar, I call the hummingbird, and I call the condor. I thank Pachamama, and I call Pachacuti, the creator god of the universe, to bring these elements in my ceremony. I call God, the angels, your guardian angels, my personal spirits. I call the spirits of the jungle, the mountains, and the oceans to be in this ceremony, to protect you, to be with us, to give us guidance and healings. I thank the spirit of Mother Ayahuasca. And if you want to sort of think what ritual is, you do not have dinner behind the wheel of your car. That's as simple as it is. You do not put on a suit and go to bed. That's as simple as ritual is. Everybody has a ritual. You don't go to work. I mean, you look pretty office like. You don't go to work in your pajamas. There is a ritual in everything. In ceremony, I personally think that ritual and opening and closing a ceremony is extremely important. When I close a ceremony, the spirits go home. They've done their work. I've been in ceremonies where a ceremony wasn't open and wasn't closed. And I seriously missed the ritual aspect of that particular ceremony. I find it extremely important. I close my ceremony very, very elaborate. I take 10 minutes, I talk. And I talk very nicely, calmly to the people in my ceremony that the healing that you received and the shit that you shed revealed the light in you. Now, I want to read you one poem because I just think I have to honor my friend here. Now, you can look at me, you can close your eyes, but closing your eyes, just imagine that you're in ceremony. So this is a message from a spirit I always have in my ceremony. Her name is Dion Duplessis. What if? What if I closed my eyes and I visualized that I am an expression, an extension of unlimited possibilities? No longer denying my power, but embracing the sacredness erupting from my soul within, casing me without hesitation. I long, no, I yearn to wear it proudly. What if I closed my eyes and I visualized butterflies fluttering, symbolizing the birthing, metamorphosis of transformations of a life without fear? Then I could stand. No, I would fly with such great courage and claim my divinity. I can almost feel it as if I were worthy. What if I closed my eyes and not intellectualize or analyze, but allow my doubts to be minimized by not diverting or running from myself? What would I find that it is I that held the key to freedom, If I but only opened the door to discover my inexhaustible supply of infinite potentiality. What if? What if I closed my eyes and I visualized that I didn't need the choir to assist me in singing the chorus, but that I could take my place on stage and sing a cappella without the background noise of uncertainty, but of bravery. Launching the caged bird to sing again, liberated and free. I long to harmonize. No, I yearn to vocalize my new song. What if I closed my eyes and I visualized I didn't need to seek validation nor ask permission to be the artist to paint something so amazing like Pablo Picasso? Understanding that the world itself is my canvas if I would but only create. What if? What if I then opened my eyes and I realized that I am already a beautiful work of art? Dion. I got a few more, but then you have to come to my ceremonies. So this is me, and I do it with passion, and it's the only thing that I want to do. And this is why I do what I do, because for me to see you find your light and find your power, and for me to see you go home a newborn person, is all that I like to see. And I will put everything in it that I have. And I promise you that is a lot. Thank you.